You're living in a world where Apple Inc. is worth nearly $4 trillion. One company. More valuable than most countries' economies. But here's the truth nobody talks about. Apple wasn't supposed to win. It almost died multiple times. So how did it go from the edge of collapse to becoming one of the most powerful companies in history? Let's rewind. Back to the late 1960s. Computers weren't what you think they are today. They were massive machines, locked inside government labs and corporations. But a small group of hobbyists believed something crazy. What if computers were personal? One of them was Steve Wozniak, a self-taught engineer obsessed with building things from scratch. Then he met Steve Jobs. And this is where everything changed. Because Wozniak could build computers, but Jobs understood people. Together, they created the Apple I. It wasn't a complete computer, just a circuit board. But it proved something important. People were willing to buy this idea. So they pushed further. The Apple II wasn't just for hobbyists. It was designed for everyday users. And that decision changed the entire industry. Millions of units sold. Apple exploded in growth. By 1980, the company went public, instantly creating hundreds of millionaires. But success didn't last. Bad products, internal conflict, power struggles. And eventually, Jobs was forced out. Without its vision, Apple started to drift. Meanwhile, Microsoft was rising fast, offering cheaper, more accessible computers.
By the mid-1990s, Apple was weeks away from bankruptcy. And then something unexpected happened. Microsoft invested $150 million into Apple, not to help them win, but to keep them alive. Because if Apple disappeared, Microsoft risked becoming a monopoly. Think about that. The company that Apple would compete with for decades helped save it. But money wasn't enough. Apple needed direction. So they brought Jobs back. And he didn't come back to maintain the company. He came back to rebuild it. He cut most projects, simplified everything, and focused on what actually mattered. Then came the comeback. The iMac. Colorful, simple, different. And people loved it. But Apple's real strategy was just beginning. Because Apple isn't really a product company. It's an ecosystem. Here's how it works. The iPhone brings you in. The App Store keeps you engaged. Services like iTunes, iCloud, and subscriptions keep you paying. Devices like Mac, iPad, and Apple Watch keep you locked in. Apple doesn't just sell products. It builds a system that's hard to leave. And that system started taking shape in 2001 with the iPod. Music in your pocket. Then in 2007, everything changed. The iPhone. A phone, an iPod, and the internet in one device. It didn't just compete. It redefined what a phone could be. Touchscreens replaced buttons. Apps replaced limitations. And suddenly, your entire digital life fit in your pocket.
From that moment on, Apple became unstoppable. The App Store exploded. The iPad expanded the ecosystem. And Apple turned into a platform, not just a company. But here's what most people don't realize. Apple's power isn't just innovation. It's control. Take manufacturing. Apple doesn't build most of its products. Companies like Foxconn handle that. Instead, Apple focuses on what matters most: design, software, experience. It doesn't own the factories. It owns the relationship with you. Then came another major shift: chips. For years, Apple depended on companies like Intel. But then it changed the game. With chips like the Apple M1, Apple took control of its own performance. Faster devices, better battery life, lower long-term costs. And most importantly, independence. Now Apple controlled the entire stack, hardware, software, and silicon. That's a massive advantage. But let's be clear, Apple didn't succeed because it never failed. It failed a lot. The Apple III, the Lisa, the Apple Newton, all flopped. But each failure taught them something. And over time, those lessons became strategy. Another key idea? Simplicity. While other companies kept adding features, Apple removed friction. Fewer buttons, cleaner design, easier experience. That philosophy changed the entire tech industry. Today, Apple isn't just big, it's everywhere.
Over 2 billion active devices worldwide, used across almost every country on Earth. Apple isn't just a company anymore. It's infrastructure for modern life. And even after Steve Jobs passed away, the company didn't collapse. Under Tim Cook, Apple became even more efficient, less chaotic, more scalable, expanding into wearables like the Apple Watch, growing services into a massive revenue engine, and continuing to refine the ecosystem. And now, they're preparing for the next shift, with products like the Apple Vision Pro, investments in AI, and deeper integration across everything they build. Because Apple doesn't chase trends. It waits. Then it redefines them. So the real reason Apple became a $4 trillion company isn't luck. It's this. It understood people better than anyone else. And if history repeats itself, the next revolution might already be in their hands.